channel, and thank you for coming back to stare at my face for the next however long minutes. And I think I just flipped you all off. First and foremost, I just want to thank the small portion of people that did subscribe to my channel or had the time to reach out to me via Instagram and just let me know that they enjoyed my video, they found it entertaining. Thank you so much, Jess, for commenting on the actual video in YouTube. Those responses really encouraged me to create video number 2, and now this is video number 3. You know, it's really hard to get yourself out there for everybody to sit there and critique, because a lot of the time people are just trying to watch you to see, like, you know, what is she doing? Or they'll find something to talk about. That slim chance of people really actually enjoying your content and what you actually have to say. So for those people that actually like what the hell I'm talking about, this is for you. I always hear, and you see a lot of YouTubers out there that say, oh, you know, don't create a video if you're doing it for the money, you know, do it for the passion. You know, if you're trying to catch the money bag, you know, you won't make it. I'm sorry, but I feel like all the people that are saying it are the ones that are really in the money. And I don't know about you, but if it was me, making videos with some quid behind my back is actually going to make me a little bit more happier and a little bit more enthusiastic to continue doing this. Enough of this. So this was supposed to be a Q&A video, but I feel like this is going to turn into story time because I talk so much and I get really into detail, and I kind of drift off with the fairies a little bit, and then we come back, and then and then half an hour later you get the answer. What color underwear am I wearing? And I'm wearing Calvin Klein white briefs. They're awesome. So get yourself some. They are really expensive, but they're like, there's nothing like them. And then another question that what do I have planned for the week? And what was my childhood like growing up? And I think that's all the time we're gonna have, because childhood is, you know, for the duration of like a 10-year span. So I'm gonna have to speed through it. Anything fun planned for the week? Yes, so I live on a schedule. Because of the coronavirus, I was cut down to 5 days a fortnight. I have now been asked to come back 4 days a week. So now I'm going to have to cram up, you know, videos, editing and taking my outfit photos and cram it up into the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'll be flat out doing that. And I cook a lot. I don't really do much outside of that. I cook, I clean, I shop, and the little thing that I do for myself now is this video. So I'm gonna be selfish and just make it a whole me weekends. Let's get into the hard-hitting question, which was, what was my childhood like growing up? Which kind of gives me the tingles a little bit deep inside, the feels there. You know, it was kind of a bit of a roller coaster, and it was going up and down. So you'll see how like everything kind of like fluctuates, and the reason why I am the way I am today. People are just nosy, they just want to know what's going on. So here we go. Childhood. I was born in Australia, Sydney, and in the western suburbs of Sydney. Both my parents were together at the time. They didn't work out, and I don't really have a strong relationship with my biological father, and we won't be going into that today because that is another kettle of fish. That is an estranged relationship that is sort of a bit unhealthy, but trying to be healthy and on and off all the time. Later on, my mum had met my stepdad, which I now call him my dad, and he's been my strongest influence throughout my entire life. Love my daddy! My parents were together for about 10 years, and in that time they had my baby brother, which his name is Daniel. He's completely opposite to me, and I love him to bits, and I do anything for him. Growing up, you know, it was because I was the older sister, I always had to make sure that I was looking after him, and you look after your baby brother. So I was like, okay, big sister mode, watcha! We grew up in the Campbelltown area, a little tiny place called Kearns. Oh, I was so bad. I do remember. My parents were smokers at the time, and I would always used to wake up in the morning and find their cigarettes and hide behind the couch and start lighting a cigarette behind the couch. And I only got to the part where you sparked it, and I think I was all of like 5 years old at the time. It was like, and you hear, Jesse, what are you doing? And I was like, oh. And I used to get scared, and then my mum would snitch on me and then tell my dad, and I would get in a lot of trouble. And my brother also joined in and would open up the cigarette packet and break every single cigarette in half. And then I think which ended up leading like my dad to quitting because couldn't afford it, and he never had a cigarette every time he wanted it. But I always used to watch them, so I'm like, well, that looks cool. And then I remember one day I was like hanging on the clothesline, like just having a cigarette, just do. Then my mum like opens the window and he's like, Jesse, what are you doing? And I was like, again. I used to see them drink, and so I used to want to, you know, have some of their beer as well. So then my dad would be like, all right, I give you $10 if you drink like this much of the beer. And I was like, okay, and I did, but it tastes like crap. So I never got the $10, and except one time where I did, and I still didn't get that $10. That was a great old time. Then I got my dog. His name's Joey. He's died now. He died from cancer. He used to hump everything, and he used to, you know, play with himself and snack on his own picnic bar. So never seen a dog do that before. It was funny. He was just a horny little thing. Anyway, growing up we moved around a lot, so it was really tough to build sustainable friendships and relationships with people because we always got up and moved every couple of years. It was more tough on myself and not so much on my brother, and you know, racism comes into it. And we moved to a place called Yandera, which is also in Sydney, but it's south of Sydney, and I was the only different looking person at the school. And I was still in primary school, and I used to get like picked on all the time. And my nan tells me this story all the time, and she says like when I used to be in the bathtub, I used to scrub my skin till it was red raw. And my nan would ask me like, you know, what's going on? Why are you doing that to yourself? And I said, you know, I'm not like the other kids. Like I want white skin. And I kept trying to like scrape back the layers of the color of my skin so I could look like everybody else. And that just continued with me throughout my whole entire childhood. But then my parents always taught me to make sure that I stick up for myself, and if somebody was going to try and hurt me, then I needed to stick up for myself and hurt them back 10 times fold. So I'm not trying to promote violence or anything, but you know, growing up being kids, it's rough, and you know, I'm a bit rough, and I ruffed a few feathers, and you know, it kind of just makes me the type of person I am. Like I'm a bit like of a hot fuse. I just don't like to be walked all over because I allowed that to happen. And you know, my parents always said for me to stick up for myself, which I do all the time, so I don't allow that to happen. And it still continued, but eventually it started to die down. We had our house, oh god, I don't even know how to draw this, but we had a house here, and then behind the house was a tennis court, and then around the outside was 2 pathways, and then at the front was a park, and then next door was a school. And then after school, my dad was super strict, and he would always say, after school, go straight home, clean the house and prepare dinner. By the time I get home, I better have all that stuff done. Every single day it was like, okay, finish school, go straight home and do what dad said, because I was terrified. And if we got all our chores done, we could go do what we wanted. So on the weekend, we wanted to go to the park, which was 100 meters from our backyard. One day, my brother had gone down the slide and we were playing around, and then these 3 guys came that 2 of the 3 would always pick on me. And then on the platform on top of like the part where you'll stand on before you go down the slide. And so they kind of left me alone for a little bit, and then 5-10 minutes later, then one of the guys came up and he had put a knife to my neck. It was so long ago, I don't remember what was said, but because my parents always taught me to look after your brother, take care of him, straight away I was like, how am I going to keep my brother safe? I had this, it was like those like pocket knives, and he like put it to my throat. And I was like, oh god. And back then, I was so fast. I was like the fastest kid in school, you know, no one could catch me. But my brother, on the other hand, was opposite. He was this short, little, fat, chubby kid that couldn't run fast. And where I'm trying to think, like, how are we going to get away from these guys? And my parents weren't home at the time. So after that, like, I screamed out to my brother and I said, Daniel, run home. And then he's running and then I'm running behind him to make sure nothing happens to him. I got one guy chasing me and then the other two guys were, because I said the tennis court was in the middle and the house gate was here, but then you had the two pathways. So we're running this way, they're trying to catch us on this end. I'm screaming out like, run, 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 run. And my brother is like, you can hear, I'm like, it's okay, we're gonna get home. Anyway, so we open up the gate and my brother like runs into the house and here I am by myself holding this fence closed, trying to hold it shut because I was petrified that my dad was gonna scream at me because three guys are trying to like break into the backyard and don't even know what they're gonna do to me. And I'm holding three guys back, just holding it until they got sick of it and they just turned around and ran off. And that was it. Like, so I don't know what was going to go down that day. I'm still here, so they weren't successful in writing me off. Then from there, we moved even further inland of Sydney. I lived in this place called Lewis, which was 200-300 people max, which is 15 minutes from another town called Gunnedah, which is like an hour away from Tamworth. So super far, absolutely remote. And we had moved into this small little area where I was able to make some friends there, and like we would always go for walks like all the time, which seemed like a lot of a better lifestyle. And we always won the Christmas light competition. Thanks, Mum. And my dad would always tell me to go up to the shop, so here I get on my push bike, get some bread and get some milk, and then we'll go back. And a lot of the time and a lot of my childhood is spending a lot of time with my dad, and he would always get me to do some housework. If it's not helping cooking and cleaning, making sure I got outside and I was like mowing the lawn, I was weeding, I was planting, cleaning the shed, helping dad feed the birds because he had some bird aviaries at the time, feed the dog. And then until I finished absolutely everything is when I was allowed to go see my friends. And I mean, I've gotten followed a few times from this one guy in his car, but I made it home every time, safe and sound. Me and my brother would always pack some lunch. I would pack him lunch and we would pack our backpacks and we'll put on our backs and we're like, all right, Dan, like we're going adventure time in our own backyard. And we had our imaginations going absolutely wild, and we would just walk through the backyard like, oh my God, do you see that crocodile? And Dan's like, yeah, I see it. Oh. And like we would climb trees and fall out of it. We'd play cricket, and then like I tried to teach him how to ride a bike, but apparently I absolutely destroyed that childhood memory for him because I always used to like shake the handlebars like, ah. Anyways, to this day my brother still can't ride a bike, blames me for it. He tried to ride a motorbike and fell off it. Sorry, but it's great for story time. My friends always would like come over to my house and we'll go out, you know, see my friends' horses, or we'll go have a bonfire one night. And we always used to do like lots and lots and lots of sleepovers. I would go to her house for the sleepovers and would, you know, girl talks, and it was so great. Then there was this one girl who like came into the group and she didn't like me. I don't know why, but anyways, I made it on her to kill list, which I heard. Again, I'm still here. I don't know what I ever did to her. She don't like me. She might find me on this and be like, oh, there she is. Then my parents had divorced after 10 years, so then we had to pack up and move back to Sydney, which was really, really, really tough on me and my brother. And at the time, being kids, so I think I was like, you know, 14, 15 years old at the time, and I was like, you know, no, like I want to stay with Dad. And then my mom was like, Jessie, he's not your dad. Absolutely broke me, killed me. I was done. Then I hated her for like the longest time. I gave And then I gave my mum pretty rough time over the years, just rebelling because of everything that had happened. And then when we moved back to Southwest Sydney, at that point I was in high school, and I joined mid-year 7, so everybody had already had friends and everything, and I was like, oh, here we go, so I'm gonna be by myself. And then I remember this girl walked up to me and she said, oh my God, you're so pretty. What is your nationality? And I was like, I'm not falling for that, because I was like, oh, here we go. And she never got off my back about what my background was. But all I could think about was, oh, here we go. Someone else is going to pick on me and blah, blah, blah. Like the whole shebang, bing, bong. And every time she asked me, I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. How do you not know? I'm like, I don't know. I never thought about it. I never asked. It was just obviously me trying to protect myself. But then like I didn't get picked on when I got to high school, and like I was actually looking at everybody else like they were weird looking, because I have never seen so much culture and different ethnicities before. Other people started looking like me, and people didn't look like me, but they also didn't look like the people that I grew up with. So then we did a complete 360, and then I began to fit in, but then my brother didn't fit in because my brother is half Australian, so his complexion was white and he had the dark hair, so he like sailed through freaking primary school. I didn't. And then when it came to high school, it flipped. And then I remember like finishing high school one day, I would pick up my brother every day, halfway, and then we'd walk home together. And then I saw these guys like throwing rocks at somebody. I'm like, what the hell are they doing, you know? And then all I see is like my little brother just like standing, like hiding behind a tree. And then I freaking went off. And we will not talk about that day. My brother didn't stay for long, and he moved back in with my dad. And then when my brother left, I went completely off the rails, and I was, you know, getting into a lot of trouble. I was getting a lot of trouble with the police, and I was hanging out with the wrong kinds of people. You know, my mum, she would have been hurting, so she had moved on. But for me, it's like that's when I needed her. But, you know, I was trying to be there for my brother, and at the time I felt like I didn't have that support, but I was supporting my brother. And when I needed it, I was getting neglected. So then I just used to go out all the time and just hanging out with my friends and always going out. I wasn't doing anything bad. I was just always out with my friends playing and whatnot, what have you. You know, walking to like the next suburb over and go meet up with my friends, and then go meet up with my other friends, and then we'll go for bike rides, or we'll go hang out and like chill out and I don't know, like just roam the streets walking and just being kids. But then, and progressively as I got older, I started hanging out with the wrong kinds of people, and then I had moved out of home by 17 years old, and I was living in my own place at the time with my boyfriend. And then we had a extremely bad, messy breakup. So then I found my own place to move into. Because I went messy, I was paying rent there, I was paying rent here, and I had only just made enough money to survive the fortnight. And I worked in the city, and my car got written off, so I didn't have a car, so I had to live across the road from the train station. So I still had the ability to get to and from work, and my house was there, so I had accessibility to get to places. I had bills coming out of every hole of my body, things that, you know, he didn't want to pay for that were under my name that I had to then take on because it was my responsibility. And it got to the point where I heard about consolidating debt, and then it was like $20,000. I was 17 years old. No, maybe I was 18. Anyway, doesn't matter. And then I clicked on the first link, and it was like consolidating your debts, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm doing that. Didn't realize that I had signed my life away. I entered into an agreement, and it was an act of bankruptcy. So I could have chosen pay no debt, apply for bankruptcy, 7 years, you'll be clear, you don't have to pay the money back. And I was like, or you could apply for an act of bankruptcy, pay the money back, and then you still have to wait the term of the 7 years. But I was like, no, I do want to pay that money back, and then I'll pay it off sooner, then I'll be lifted. Because at that point I was thinking about my future. What if I can't get a mortgage and it's gonna stuff my life up for everything? But that taught me how, you know, going through something like that taught me how to budget. The money that I was getting was I think it was like $1,300, and I was like paying for 2 lots of rent, the groceries for the fortnight, my $100 to get to work and back, and that money was gone, and the rest of it was like to a bill here and there, but I was paying for it. I just wasn't paying it all off quick enough. So when I did that, I was like, yep, I want to do good. I want to pay that money back. And so I smashed it out 2 years earlier than I even should have. And I actually couldn't even do anything. I still had to wait that 7-year period, which I had just come up to that 7-year period when I bought my home. Then I jumped on this payment plan, and you know, it did do some good for me because it taught me how to budget. It helped me get back on track, but at the same time, I also screwed up my credit rating. So after that all cleared, I'm in like the highest percentile. I'm so great at budgeting money, and I have a house now, so things are looking like going up for me. But you know, it was rough, and it was like up and down, and you know, I kind of found like my independence, and I was like, don't worry, like I don't even care anymore. I'm just gonna do things. I'm gonna do it for me. And you know, I got kicked out of school at year 9, and I just jumped straight into the workforce. And I had a friend who was like, hey, we're looking for somebody, do you want to come? And I was like, sure. So my career started when I was 17 years old, and everybody was still in school, and I don't mind because I didn't like school. My history through school was like, you know, bullying, like being singled out, like being on my own, like all that sob story. So for me, my life started when I left school, and I found friends when I was working and through TAFE. And all the people that I had gone to school with, I couldn't even make those sustainable relationships because I didn't grow up with them. Only until high school, you know, I had the best times growing up. Sleepovers at, you know, every single weekend, and having chips sandwiches, and dressing up and drawing your face, and walking up to the pizza store acting like a complete spastic. You know, you go through your trials and tribulations, and it comes around, and you know, I absolutely treasure the good memories that I have, and I try and put all the bad ones behind me and just keep on pushing and moving forwards. That is to answer your question about how my childhood was. It was a bit choppy, but you know, I wouldn't change anything for the world. I now picked up and moved from Sydney, and now I live in Queensland, so moving doesn't bother me. Moving is a fresh start, starting new, and this is why I decided to do this, because it's something that I would never have done. But for me now, it's like pushing the boundaries, what I'm comfortable, what I'm not comfortable doing, and I don't even care anymore. Life's too short, and I don't really care what people think or what they say, because it bothered me for so long. And now I'm just like, do my thing. You go worry about yourself. Anyway, so I'm just gonna end this here. So thank you so much for watching my video. Let me know what you think, and if you'd like another one of these get to know me videos. I talk a lot, so I got a lot to say. Thank you so much, and enjoy your day.